Hello, how are you doing?
I'm really great, thank you. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
Amazing. It's Monday, it's podcast day.
Woohoo!
Well, hey, let's do it. So, straight in, I would love to find out from you, Charlotte. There's something that a while ago you were telling yourself over and over again,
Mhm.
story that you were telling yourself around the time that you were launching TAGC. There was just this thing, wasn't there, that you kept repeating to yourself that
Oh,
was
there was.
holding you back. It was
Mhm.
a barrier, it was a block. And what I'd love to do is just figure out what that was
Mhm.
and yeah, take it from there really and just
Yeah.
share what came after that.
Yeah. So, just to paint the picture, yeah. TAGC, the Authentic Girls Club, was a seed of an idea in my mind, and it had been there for a few years. And I was finally a couple of months in to taking steps to getting it out of my head and into reality. And it was feeling amazing. Like I was doing it, I was building momentum. We were having our weekly calls.
Yeah.
I was very newly introduced to all things self development, personal growth, journaling. But there was something holding me back from going to that next level and clicking, you know, press play,
Launch.
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 We're going to do this. And the thing that I was going round and round and round in my head and that I was journaling about a lot was I haven't been through enough to say what I want to say. And then a few short days after having literally written that in my journal, it was a Saturday and a normal Saturday, family day. And my husband Dale had taken our dogs out as he normally does, and he just nipped to go pick up one thing from the shop. And they were taken from outside of the shop and they were stolen. And it was, yeah, it was a nightmare that I had before, like many times, because I'd heard a story ages ago of this happening. And yeah, it was my real life nightmare. And it was really interesting because obviously in the moments of them being gone, they were gone for 2.5 days, and we launched a massive appeal to get them home. And thank goodness so many incredible people came together and we got them home. But what was really interesting is I do believe in the universe. I do believe in, what we say, is what we are creating.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not gonna, that was a hard pill to swallow in the moment, and I didn't in the moment of them being gone, but in healing and in reflection, yeah, to have said that leading up to that, I haven't been through enough to say what I want to say. It was like the universe went, well, here you are then.
Yeah.
Here's one of your nightmares.
Yeah.
Now are
Is
you ready to
yeah.
believe in yourself? Like, are you
That's it, isn't
ready?
it? Served up on a silver platter, like I haven't been through enough. Okay, is this enough? Like, just
Mm,
serving it up and putting, going through that, which is obviously a really traumatic time for you and your family. And there's a reason, obviously, why we wanted to share this today, isn't there? And that's that had that not have happened, I
mm,
wonder,
yeah.
I wonder would you still be running that story of I've not been through enough to say what I've got to say? Would the Authentic Girls Club be where it is today? Would you be helping women make transformations and change their life if you still were on that repeat of that
Mm,
thought pattern, that belief?
yeah.
Would you still be waiting, essentially, is what I'm asking.
I think I would. Yeah. I think that story ran really deep. And the reality is, I had been through things. I had, made some incredible choices, as we all have throughout our lives. But we had this conversation one time where we're like, what is enough? What actually is enough? Like, I had good intentions, I had things that were really worthwhile sharing. I had been through some stuff, like we all have. Why was I waiting for something terrible to happen before I believed in myself?
No.
And then this situation, like I say, it was a real nightmare that I had had many times, to have our dogs stolen. Like, I'm a big animal lover. I love animals, and you know, were they are our family. Um, and that there was a moment where, when they were gone, and I was sat upstairs. I think Autumn and April were downstairs. My husband Dale, bless him, was literally driving here, there, and everywhere, just trying to find them. We were answering calls from incredible strangers, but then we were also being blackmailed through that period of time as well. And I remember going upstairs, and I'd not left the house because I was like, always make sure someone's in just in case. And I felt so helpless, like so helpless. And Instagram had always been my outlet for a few years. You know, when I was a mum, that was one of my steps. That I think we spoke about this last week, was it?
Yeah.
Instagram was, one of my starting places to really starting to, share my story and find my voice. And I sat literally next to our bed on the floor, and I just hit record to try and just get people to continue sharing. And there was something in that moment I feel like I've spent a bit of time reflecting on. Like, that was me, the rawest, realest me. There was nothing in front of. All I wanted was to get them back. I didn't care like who saw that story. I didn't care what I looked like. I didn't care what I sounded like. Like, that was heart. Like, that was pure heart of just, I need to do this to get them back. So I felt like it was kind of a really stripped back me.
Yeah.
And in that moment, the absolute worst in my head had happened. Our dogs were gone. They'd been stolen. We didn't know where they were. We were being judged online for how they'd been stolen. We had beautiful, supportive, amazing comments, but we also had the negativity, and all of that. And then obviously, another of my things is I love to believe in the good of people, but then we were being blackmailed and really being put to the test. Like, that morning, I'd opened my emails and we had our first blackmail email, and it was, again, like someone had picked me up and put me in my worst nightmare. Like, how can that be real, that someone has reached out and said they've got our dogs? Like, if you don't give me, I think it was £2,000, like, they're gone and done for. Like, so in that moment, yeah, the worst happened for me as a person. We all, and yeah, there was something really in that was my authentic self right there.
Yeah.
And my whole character was put to the test in those moments. So, having journaled about that and been so aware of self-development and having the tool of journaling to then heal in that way, I honestly, thank goodness, because I would not be half the person I am today. I could have easily stayed in that anger, stayed in that sadness, felt very stuck, like, fearful, like that's going to happen again. There were moments where my anxiety was high, like taking the dogs off the lead for the first time when we got them back, all of these things. But having known that I'd said that, I haven't been through enough to say what I want to say. And then to almost, I don't know, it made me see the lessons and it made me see the learnings. Is this kind of...
Yeah. So
I don't think I've ever spoken about it in this way before.
No,
So,
no,
like,
this is thank you for sharing, first of all. And just on this idea of what are we waiting for? So you kind of put this message in your mind of, I haven't said enough to say what I've got to say, and therefore I'm kind of not pressing play or moving forward or taking actions on the things that I want to do. Yes, you were. The Authentic Girls Club was still moving forward, it was still developing, but possibly not at the rate that you, or the pace that you would have liked, because there was this barrier and there was this block that, well, I can't say this because I've not been through enough. And you put this message out there, and then obviously you went through this very traumatic experience with the dogs. And very fortunately, obviously, you got the dogs back, and then unfortunately, very sadly, you lost Welly, you lost one of the doggies. But what I'd love to reflect on that is that there was still an opportunity after that, and for you to come through that, to then go ahead and do the things, take the learnings from this, like, shit, now I have been through enough. And still progress. However, in life, if we keep waiting, sometimes it's too late. You know, like, you had this shake up, and yes, it did propel you forward, which was a choice, because you could have gone two ways with this.
Literally, yeah.
But sometimes if we keep waiting, we wait for things, the bad things to happen, the real big shake-ups, but potentially that could be too late. There might not be an opportunity after that. And I think what we really wanted to share today was this: there's no need to keep waiting. Yes, perhaps there are things like yourself, Charlotte, in our minds that we're telling ourselves, well, we can't do the things. But like I asked you a few moments ago, had this not happened with the dogs, would you be repeating this thought and belief in your mind? And would you have pressed play? And you said you probably would be repeating that, and maybe you wouldn't have moved forward as fast. And then I'm thinking, like, where would that have led you to? Does that, like, and tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but does that just, so many years go down the line, and then we're sat just living in regret?
And I would have I think I would have really found myself on that cycle. And I think this was my absolute cycle breaker. And I think when I say that tested me as a character, like, it was, I think, knowing that I'd said that previously, like, and then taking those lessons, how could I not? Like, like, I think I would have carried on playing very small.
Yeah.
Whereas the worst happened, I was more myself than I ever have been. My character came through, and I believe that it was my character that has got me through and got me to this point. Like, I could have very easily stopped believing in the good of people.
Yeah.
And this is why I share so much about, our dogs, and they're my biggest inspiration, because they jumped out of that police car when they got home, and they greeted every single person in that police yard. They'd not lost faith in humanity. And I remember thinking, if they haven't, how on earth can I? I believe in the good in people. And I'm really proud to say that I've not lost that, because I could have.
Yeah.
But what helped me through that situation was there were so many good people. Oh my goodness, the community that came together for us was incredible. And what I do believe in is, the more that good people come together, the better this world is going to be. Yes, there's terrible things that happen in this world, but the force of good people, like, they were what helped us find them.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that, that just, it really, like I say, put my character to the test. And now, like, that is my biggest reminder to go, do you know what? Do not hold back, Charlotte, because but my message would be to anyone who does feel like they're waiting, or that they don't feel like they've been through enough. If they've, if anyone's thinking the same, I've not been through enough to say or do what I want to do. Even going back, as another thing that held me back was thinking that I needed more qualifications to say what I want to say. Like, absolutely not. Like, you can move now. Like, you really can. And if I could go back and tell myself that earlier, goodness, I'd have a good old chat to myself.
Yeah.
I really would, because we don't want to wait for something terrible to happen, because we don't know what's round the corner. Like, this decision to live more and live as your authentic self is just the best choice you can make today.
It really is. That was going to be my next question. So obviously, you know, you were kind of waiting, and then this, you know, this thing happened. But what we want to get across is like, don't wait. Like, don't
Yeah.
wait for that to happen, because, well, like I've said before, you know, it could be too late. It could be too
Mm.
late. Or if it's not too late, when we end up going to our deathbed full of regret. Like,
Mm.
is that what we want?
No.
But it's only us that can do the things. It's
Yeah.
only in taking our responsibility for our personal experience in life
Mm.
and taking that action and doing the
Yeah.
things that we remove that regret, remove those, oh, I wish I'd have done this.
Mm.
And it's maneuvering ourselves to not wait until something painful happens, but going forward for the pleasure,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's figuring out, what does that look like for us?
Mm.
And if you're right at the start of your journey, it's asking yourself that question. Like, this is the inner work. It's
Mm.
pressing pause on life. You always say, don't you, Charlotte? Like, sometimes we've
Yeah.
got to like slow down to
Mm.
do more, and we really have. Like, if you're sat listening to this and you're in a bit of an autopilot sort of cycle of life, and just thinking, there's so much more I want to do, but I'm waiting
Mhm.
until the perfect time, or until I've got this, or until I've done this, or a financial thing, you know, waiting until
Mhm.
I've got them almost. It's, well, what can I do right now? What sacrifices can I make right now? What changes can I make right now
Yeah.
to move forward and no longer wait for all that stuff,
Mm.
because we might not get the opportunity.
No.
And is
And
it
I
the the lemony snickets quote? If we
mm,
wait, if it might not be lemony snickets, I think it is.
I've never heard of.
If we wait, oh, I forgot what it is now. If we're waiting for something, we'll wait for the rest of our lives. I'll
Oh,
have to
yeah, but I
Google it.
like
I'll have
it.
to
Yeah.
Google it. Something.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's lemony
We'll
snickets.
pop it in the show notes. Pop it
Yeah,
in
it's
the
if we're waiting for, there's something, waiting for something, and we'll be waiting for the rest of our life.
Yeah. But
And that
it's
is waiting
true.
for the right time.
Yeah.
We'll be waiting for the rest of our lives. We've got to make it the right time.
And this, right, you just said that then, because I could have carried on that story in my mind.
Yeah.
I could have carried on that story without having, used this as like this was my biggest lesson. And I've said this was on paper my worst year yet, but it was a blooming incredible year.
Mm,
Like, for so many reasons, because I took those lessons. I saw that adversity as an opportunity to grow more than ever before.
mm.
That was a decision, because I could have easily stayed on that same story of, I've still not been through enough to say what I want to say. And there
Yeah.
were moments in my mind that were like, but Charlotte, you were one of the lucky ones. Like, you got them home. There are people out
Mm,
there who haven't, and oh my goodness, my heart is with them.
yeah.
But there was elements that still continued to try and hold me back and say, you've not been through enough to say what you wanted to say. It
Mm,
could have been a lot worse. Yeah, it could have. But I had to choose to stop waiting and actually go, do you know what? Right, this is enough now, Charlotte. Like, say what you want to say,
yeah.
grow, and keep on going. And it was a continual choice of, yeah,
And
like,
it still is,
yeah,
isn't it? It's a continual choice to carry on
keep
and do the
moving.
things and move through the fear, and notice when that negative self-talk pops up, when that critic pops up and goes,
Yeah,
oh, are you sure you're good enough to do this? Are you
yeah,
sure is
mm,
that really your opinion? What if that upsets someone? You know, all
yeah,
this, it's that continual choosing. Well, yeah, choosing better, choosing different. How do you need to be talking to yourself
yeah,
to empower yourself to do the things that you want to do, to live to the
yeah.
fullest? I remember the quote: if we wait until we're ready, we'll be waiting for the rest of our lives.
I like
There we
that.
go. And that is just so true.
Yeah,
Like, we've done stuff where we're not ready. We've done stuff
mm,
scared.
yeah,
We've done stuff, we've danced with the fear. Oh my God, it's scary. It's
yeah.
horrible. It's really horrible. But it's horrible, but it's also like, we get a bit addicted to it, don't
We
we?
do.
Like,
I was gonna say,
there's a buzz from it. It's scary, but it's like, yeah, because we know we're moving forward. We know we're in that growth zone. We know we're doing the things, and it's, honestly, it's so, to shift out of the waiting game and the frustration and the,
mm,
oh, I'm gonna regret it if I don't do it, to just doing it, something.
yeah. And just knowing that the person that you are right now is magical. You
Yeah.
are the magic. Like, you absolutely are. You don't need to know anything else. You just need to move for you. Um, and I think when I then, because coming out of everything, I remember we obviously took a little while, but we got back into our accountability calls. And I remember setting that goal of I wanted to have something launched by September. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And that was still, obviously, I was actively healing through all of that and making these choices of, I'm not going to let this, keep me scared. I want to, be free and grow and be the change that I want to see. And I made that decision, didn't I? And easily I could have gone, do you know what? I'm not qualified for this. I can't do this. Like, so much self-talk was trying to hold me back. But I just knew that almost I had to do it as I was right now. Do I want to go and study a bit more in certain things now? Absolutely. But what I want to say is, like, you can do the things that you want to do on the scale that you can now. And
Yes.
like, I think sometimes we think we have to have
It all
all of,
figured out and all
yeah,
the qualifications. No. And if we just get real for a minute, when we're sat in that, we're just excusing ourselves,
yeah,
aren't we? Which we're making excuses.
yeah,
Like, and I know that's harsh, but it's true.
yeah.
Like, we are just excusing ourselves from it.
Mm,
Oh, I'll do it when it's da da da. Yeah, I'll do it when it. We might not get that time. Like,
no,
stop
like me,
excusing ourselves. Let's just do it.
100%. Yeah. Like, I've not been through enough to say what I want to say. Absolute excuse.
Mm.
Charlotte, like
It's a
back
delay
then.
tactic, isn't it? It's putting it off
Yeah.
until I'm ready, until I'm confident, until I know exactly what I'm doing, until I've got it all mapped out, until
Mm,
I've got all the time. It's like, you're not going to get all that at once.
no.
It's
We
not all going
actually
to tip up. Yeah.
we just had this conversation in the weekly practice with our members this morning, didn't we? That actually, like, the thing that we're maybe striving towards, like, this is another example, like, the word that I chose for that year was I wanted to feel focused. That was my
Hmm.
intention. And I was feeling really foggy and unclear, like, when I set that. And then it was maybe a month down the line, and I sat up and I thought, oh, I think I saw it pop up. I think I'd written it in my diary or something. I was like, I feel focused. Like, doesn't quite feel how I imagined it because I'm
Yeah.
still feeling a little foggy. But wow, I can feel it. Just those little glimpses of that focus from where I was to now. And I think there's so much to that, in that we perceive something to be a certain way, and that perception is often not actually reality. And like, focus can still be a bit messy. Like,
Yeah.
when we're moving forward, and we've said this before, when like I'm feeling really messy and I've recorded a video, for example, and I'm like having a little doubtful moment, I'm like, that feels really messy in my head, and I've sent it to you, and you're like,
That's
that's
really clear.
incredible.
Crystal clear.
So
Over and
clear.
out. Post it.
Yeah, we have a little action emoji, don't we? And it's
Yeah.
like,
Just
go,
take
go,
action. Do it.
go,
It's
go,
fine.
go, go, get through that fear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'd love to normalize that, right? Like, moving with the fear.
Mm.
you know don't wait for things to be ready, go anyway. Like,
Don't
just
wait,
keep,
because do it. And if it's not right, learn from it. And that's a
yeah,
choice. That's a perspective. That's a way of life, isn't it?
yeah,
Like, do it. Like, what are you waiting for?
yeah,
Do it. And if it's not right, learn from it, grow from it, do something
yeah,
different.
yeah,
And do
100%.
it. And it might be the best thing. It will be the best thing you've ever done. It
Yeah,
will. Because
it,
you'll be doing something and you'll be making a move. And that's the
yeah,
important thing here, to not
100,
wait. Press play on life.
yeah, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then when you start playing here, oh my goodness. So like you say, I crave it. I'm like, what can I do that's a bit
Mm,
scary now? When I've
mm,
not done anything scary, I'm like, oh, I
yeah.
need to move.
Yeah.
I need to move.
And icing on the cake, guys, before we wrap, just in complete TAGC style, once you've done it, you know what to do. Be so proud of yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to wait for anybody externally to come and pat you on the back, because you might not get that pat,
No.
but you can do it for you. Be
Yeah.
proud of yourself,
Yeah.
and just, yeah, be so, so proud, because that will be the momentum that you're looking for. And then take
Yes.
the next step and be proud again and keep going. And oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you're going to blow your own socks off.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
really are.
Absolutely. Oh, love this. And yeah, that is everything. It really is. That's how I've built up my belief for sure. One step, be proud. One step, be proud.
So,
Amazing.
takeaway today, guys, take action, stop waiting, press play on life today.
Yes, love it. Oh, thank you so much, guys. And reach out to us anytime. We love to hear how you're getting on and how this episode landed for you. We are only ever a message away via DMs at the Authentic Girls Club or via email if you want to get in touch with us directly, which is hello@theauthenticgirlsclub.com.
Brilliant. Oh,
Speak
see
to
you
you
soon,
soon,
guys. Take
guys.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.